Is Nick Newman's terrifying collapse the tragic end of a legacy, or is it just the ultimate victory for a ghost who refused to stay dead? Think about it for a second. As Nick keels over in the middle of a desperate confrontation, we have to ask ourselves, was this just a moment of physical weakness, or did he finally just give up to the man who has haunted his family for 30 years? Today, we're peeling back the layers of Genoa City's most shocking turning point. It's where addiction meets a vendetta that simply refuses to die. You see, the May 27th episode isn't just another Wednesday in Genoa City. It's a collision course between a hero's internal demons and a predator who knows exactly where to strike. Nick Newman has always been the stable pillar of that family. But right now, he is a man completely dismantled by pain and the very opioids he's using to dull it. This didn't happen out of nowhere. It is the direct result of the Newman way of life. When you live under Victor Newman's thumb, the pressure to be perfect usually leads to a quiet, desperate crumbling of the self. Have you ever felt that kind of pressure? The kind where you have to pretend everything is fine while you're falling apart inside? When we see Nick blasting Matt Clark right before his body gives out, we are watching a man trying to take control of a story he has already lost. Matt Clark, played with such a chilling, unpredictable edge by Roger Howarth, has come back as a master of psychological warfare. While Matt claims he is sorry and wants to make things right, the timing of Nick's overdose feels like Matt's presence is the match that lit the fuse. Nick isn't just angry at Matt, he's terrified. There is a deep, bone-deep fear that the good guy image he's spent years building is finally failing him. Internally, Nick has to be feeling so alone right now. Even though he has Sharon, Victor, and Nikki around him, his addiction is a private cage, and Matt Clark just found the key. I really see this collapse as a symbolic death of the old Nick Newman. For years, Nick has tried to be the moral alternative to Victor. But by falling into addiction right in front of his greatest rival, he has basically been brought down to the level of the people he hates. It's a sad twist on the hero's journey. It's a story about the limits of trying to be a tough guy when you're carrying so much trauma. In my opinion, the Newmans are actually to blame for this. Victor has spent weeks obsessing over power plays and getting revenge, while Nikki's warnings about Nick's health were just treated like background noise. How could Victor prioritize business over the heart of his own son? The Newman brand means nothing if the children are falling like dominoes. Psychologically, Matt Clark lives in a world of constant conflict. He is triggered by the Newmans because they represent a status and a wholeness that he was always denied. By claiming Nick is dead to torture Adam and Chelsea, Matt is playing a sick game. He's creating a reality where the family is powerless, giving him the control he lacked as a teenage outcast. The tension just keeps going up the second Nick pulls those pills out in Phyllis's office. This isn't just a medical emergency, it's a public execution of his dignity. Nick summoning Sharon, Noah, and Sienna to the office wasn't a smart move. It was a cry for help that turned into a disaster. The skepticism about Matt's amnesia only makes things worse. If Matt is faking, he's a total sociopath. But if he's telling the truth, the Newmans are attacking a man who doesn't even know why he's being hated. We've seen the Newmans battle villains before, but this time, the enemy is inside the house, and inside Nick's bloodstream. We've watched Nick grow up, so seeing him drop the phone and keel over feels like a personal betrayal of everything the show stands for. Think about the setting, Phyllis's office. It's a place of business and image. By having the overdose happen there, the writers are telling us that the Newman image can't hide the rot inside anymore. The fact that Matt realizes Nick is overdosing before anyone else does is a brilliant, sick twist. It makes the villain the only one who truly sees the hero. It is honestly frustrating to see Devin and Nate dismiss Kane Ashby while a literal demon like Matt Clark is walking the streets. While I get why they're hesitant, their rage is blinding them. Meanwhile, Kane is actually stepping up to support the Winters family. It feels like Genoa City residents often have their moral compasses backward. They hunt the people trying to change and ignore the truly dangerous ones. Nick's blasting of Matt was just a defense mechanism. By projecting all his hatred onto Matt, he was trying to ignore the physical tremors of his own withdrawal. He needed someone to blame, so he didn't have to look at himself. On the flip side, Matt's desire to make amends could be a subconscious attempt to rewrite his own history of trauma and rejection. While Nick is dying in an office, Kane Ashby is pulling out all the stops for Lily Winters on a romantic train dinner. It's classic soap drama, putting extreme tragedy right next to extreme romance. Kane's surprise isn't just a meal, it's a calculated move to get back his status as a lead character. The train is a really interesting symbol. Trains mean a journey, but also a track that is fixed and hard to leave. Lily, seeing Kane in a new light, suggests she is willing to ignore his history of being an imposter and a liar because she needs that emotional warmth during Malcolm's surgery. It's a negotiated meaning. Lily is choosing to value the present over the past. Kane is clearly feeling the pressure of being the outsider, who has to prove he belongs in the Winters family. His optimism about Victor coming through with the Chancellor deal shows how desperate he is for legitimacy. For Lily, that kiss in the doorway is just a momentary escape from the chaos of Genoa City. But I honestly think Kane is being a bit manipulative here. Using a family health crisis as a way to launch a romantic surprise feels a little opportunistic, doesn't it? While the Lane fans are cheering, we have to ask, is Lily actually falling for Kane again? Or is she just falling for the comfort he represents while everything else is falling apart? Kane seems to have this hero complex. He needs to be the one who steps up because his core identity as an imposter makes him feel like he's always overcompensating. Lily, on the other hand, is just vulnerable right now. When the people you love are at risk, your defenses against toxic exes tend to crumble. Nick's struggle with painkillers isn't just a plot twist. It's a mirror to the real-world opioid crisis. By taking a high-status character like Nick and making him a victim of addiction, the show is breaking the myth of the perfect American. It's a moment where the audience has to face a gritty reality inside their favorite fantasy. The way Victoria and Nikki discuss Nick's rehab lie at Crimson Lights shows the warfare of secrets in that family. In a family like the Newmans, admitting weakness is seen as a betrayal. This makes Nick rather keel over in an office than admit he's losing the fight. I look at Nick's drop of the phone while trying to call Detective James Burrow as the ultimate disconnect. The law can't save Nick from his own biology. The phone is how he communicates, and when it hits the floor, his voice in Genoa City is officially silenced. Right now, Phyllis Summers is the only person acting with any kind of nuance. By trying to convince Nick and Victor that Matt has amnesia, she is the bystander trying to prevent a murder. I actually agree with her attempt to humanize Matt, even if she's doing it for selfish reasons. The Newmans are so polarized that they can't see a human being anymore, they only see a target. Nick's unpredictable moods, the distant and agitated behavior Adam noticed, are textbook symptoms of personality disintegration. He isn't Nick anymore. He is the addiction wearing a Nick Newman suit. Adam's fear that Matt is using that weakness against him is a smart insight. Predators like Matt don't need a gun. They just need to wait for the victim to pull the trigger on themselves. What happens next is going to determine if the Newman family even survives. Nick is in critical condition, and Matt Clark is playing a very long game. If Nick survives, he's looking at a bitter custody battle, similar to what Sharon has dealt with in the past. The whole social order of the town is about to change. I have a few predictions for what's coming. First, Victor and Nikki will probably stop fighting for a minute to focus on Nick. But this peace won't last. Nikki is reaching her breaking point with Victor's vendettas. Second, Matt Clark is going to use Nick's overdose to look like the victim. He'll claim that Nick's punch and the family's constant attacks drove Nick to the edge. It's a perfect gaslighting trap. Third, the Lane fallout is coming. Lily's softened view of Kane will lead to a reunion, but Devon's rage is going to boil over, creating a rift in the Winters family that makes the Newman drama look like a playground scrap. And finally, we have the ghost of Cassie. As Sharon deals with Nick's crisis, her fragile state will likely bring back those visions of Cassie, giving Victor the opening he needs to haunt her using Mariah. We're looking at two different things here. On one hand, we have the medical emergency. On the other, we have the way the show uses this to keep the Newmans at the top of the ratings. We want to see Nick redeemed, but the camera stays on Matt Clark's destructive mode, suggesting that things aren't getting better anytime soon. I believe the overdose is a way to level the playing field. Nick was too powerful and too good. By putting his life on the line, the show makes him vulnerable and frail, just like the older characters we see on the sidelines. It's a way of stripping away his power to see what's left of the man. If the writers actually kill off Nick Newman, they are making a huge mistake. He is the moral center of the show. Without him, Genoa City becomes a world where only the victors and the Matts survive. I agree with Joshua Morrow that Nick and Sharon are endgame, but man, this journey is getting messy. We also can't ignore how the younger crowd, like Noah and Christina, are being pulled into this mess. Matt's memory flash of Noah cheating with his wife shows that the younger generation is already being corrupted by the drama they say they hate. It's a circle where the children just repeat the mistakes of their parents. Christina's Mob Princess reality show is like a mirror. It's a show within a show, highlighting the weirdness of being a Newman or a Corinthos. They are producing a culture of dysfunction and anger. I think Devin's wake-up call from Mariah was the most honest moment in the whole episode. He finally realized his rage isn't about Abby or Kane. It's about himself and the promises he didn't keep. That's a psychological breakthrough that the Newmans just aren't capable of right now. They're too busy with their power plays. Abby making that promise to Devin is a nice gesture, but in Genoa City, a promise is usually just a setup for a future plot twist. History shows us that true love never runs smooth in this town. Before I give you my final verdict, I want to hear from you. We've got some big debates happening. Do you think Matt Clark actually has amnesia? Or is Roger Howarth giving us the ultimate long-game villain? Is a guy like Matt even capable of changing, or is he just triggered for life? And then there's the Lane versus Schick crisis. With Nick's life on the line, should Sharon drop everything for him? Or is it time for her to break the Newman cycle for good? And are you actually buying Kane's new light, transformation, or do you side with Devin and Nate? Nick Newman's dark turn is the catalyst for a devastating day that will either bring the Newmans together or break them forever. Nick has a massive fight ahead of him to beat this addiction. That road to recovery will probably lead him right back to Sharon, fulfilling that endgame prophecy, but at what cost to his sanity? Meanwhile, Matt Clark is going to stay the spider in the center of the web. He's proving that in Genoa City, the skeletons in the closet never stay buried for long. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the soap world and Matt Clark's psychological games, make sure you hit that like button. It really helps the algorithm know we want serious talk about our favorite dramas. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss a recap or a deep dive analysis. We're here every week to transform the story and ask the questions no one else is asking. Comment below with the word Newman if you think Nick is going to make a full recovery, or Matt if you think the villain has already won. Thanks for watching, and just remember, in Genoa City, the only thing more dangerous than a man with a vendetta is a man with a secret. We'll see you in the next one. When we look back at the history of Nick and Sharon, it's hard not to see how much Matt Clark has truly defined them. From the very beginning in 1994, Matt was the one who developed that bitter rivalry with Nick. He was obsessed with Sharon, and that obsession led to some of the darkest moments in the show's history. It's wild to think that we are still dealing with the fallout of those early years. Do you remember when Matt revealed Sharon's secret about Cassie? That was the first time their romance was really put to the test. It's almost poetic that Matt is back now, at another point where Nick and Sharon are trying to find their way back to each other. The return of Matt Clark under Roger Howarth's portrayal brings a different kind of energy than we saw with Eddie Cibrian or Rick Hurst. Howarth has this way of making Matt feel like he's always one step ahead, even when he's claiming he doesn't remember anything. The psychological layer here is so thick. Matt's mind is a headspace of constant conflict. He takes everything intensely personally. He doesn't spend a lot of time being his best self. This is a guy who faked his own death just to frame Nick. Why should we believe him now? The overdose itself is such a heavy topic for soap to tackle, but Y&R has always been good at bringing real-world issues into the lives of these millionaires. Opioid addiction doesn't care how much money you have or what your last name is. Seeing Nick, the man who is supposed to have it all, slumped over in an office is a powerful image. It reminds the audience that even the high-class Newmans are human. They bleed, they hurt, and they fail just like everyone else. And what about Victor and Nikki? It's heartbreaking to watch them face every parent's worst fear. They've spent so much time fighting each other that they miss the signs that their son was drowning. Nikki has been warning Victor for weeks, but he was too busy with his business, bargaining chips. It's a classic case of the Newman rule. Business first, family second. But now, with Nick's life hanging in the balance, they have no choice but to stand together. Will this finally be the thing that makes Victor change? Probably not. But we can hope, right? Lily and Kane's situation is the perfect example of how soaps use soap time to contrast emotions. While one family is in a medical crisis, another is having a romantic toast. It keeps the audience from getting too overwhelmed by the darkness. But Kane is a complicated guy. He's spent years alienating people. Is he actually changing? Or is he just good at performing the hero when Lily is watching? Lily is starting to see him differently, but trust is a hard thing to rebuild when your whole relationship was built on a lie. As we move forward, the Schick fans are obviously hoping for a reunion. Joshua Morrow and Sharon Case have such amazing chemistry that it's hard not to root for them. They've been through everything. Infidelity, the death of a child, memory loss, you name it. But an overdose is a new kind of hurdle. It's not just about forgiveness, it's about recovery. And with Matt Clark lurking in the shadows, that recovery is going to be anything but easy. Matt Clark's earth-scorching plans are just getting started. He wants to emotionally destroy the Newmans before he reveals the truth. He's playing a long game, and Nick is the first pawn to fall. The race to find Nick and save him is just beginning. It's going to be a very messy journey, as Morrow said, but that's exactly why we tune in every day. We want to see if love can actually win in a world as cynical as Genoa City. The mean world syndrome is real in these shows. The audience starts to feel like danger is around every corner because that's what the characters feel. But soaps also give us spiritual ballast. They show us that no matter how bad things get, people can survive. Nick Newman is a fighter. He's a Newman after all. But this time, he's not fighting a business rival or a kidnapper. He's fighting himself. And that is the hardest battle of all. So, as we wait for the next episode, keep those questions in mind. Is Matt Clark the ultimate villain? Or is he a victim of his own past? Can Nick overcome the weight of his family's expectations? And will Lily and Kane's romantic train ride end in a wreck or a new beginning? Genoa City is never boring, and this storyline is proving to be one of the most intense we've seen in years. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss any of the updates. We'll be right here to break it all down for you. Until then, keep watching and keep wondering. The truth is out there, but in Genoa City, it's usually buried under a pile of lies and a whole lot of drama.